Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Juggernaut. The game in the background is Borderlands, more on that in a little bit, or sorry, Borderlands 2. And the topic for today's video is a small retrospective, if you will. I don't think it's going to be a rant, because I'm not particularly upset about anything. I just want to share my thoughts about something. And that is the fact that Counter-Strike, in general, specifically Counter-Strike 2 right now, is hell to get into. And it has its both positive sides and downsides, but basically, over the course of the last couple of weeks or so, I've been getting more and more into CS2. It started off with, as all good things do in CS2 nowadays, with gambling. No, I didn't gamble anything, but I did have some cases and some skins I wanted to sell, because I've had the game for God knows how long, and yeah, I made a neat profit, thickened up my Steam wallet a little bit, and I thought, well, you know what, why don't I try the game for a little bit, you know? I might like it, and certainly I've played Counter-Strike before. I've played back in the glory days of CS 1.6. I've played CSGO when it originally released for a little bit, mostly just deathmatch and stuff, but yeah, I know about the game, and I have friends that have played it religiously for, you know, decades at this point. I mean, literally, I think I know people that have played Counter-Strike since like 2008, 2007, 6 maybe, something like that. And so, yeah, it's not like I'm completely new to the game, but at the same time, I was never really particularly good at it. I never really achieved any great awards or accolades or whatever in the game. Either in the third-party service Faceit or in the actual competitive game mode within the base game, or the you know, the vanilla game, or whatever you want to call it itself. And so I sort of started getting into it a little bit, and I realized just how insanely difficult it is for new people to get into it, for multiple reasons. One is obviously the mechanical complexity of it. Just the act of shooting someone in Counter-Strike is a delicate and complicated process that you need to learn, because it's not just a question of point and click. It is, but you need to stand still. If you're moving, you need to counter-strafe, and then you need to know how to peek, you need to know your angles, you need to know where the opponent is going to be appearing from, and oh boy. And on the other hand, it's 5v5, right? So it's not like you can just kill someone and then, you know, forget about it. They killed me, you know, whatever, doesn't matter. It's a tactical shooter. Your life matters a lot. The gun you carry matters a lot. It's a resource, right? If you lose it, you need to buy it again the next round, and oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. The mechanics. Flashbangs, smoke grenades, where to throw them, how to throw them. Lineups, you know, you need to sit on this particular corner, look at that particular thing, and then run forward while jump throwing, and then it'll land there, and then that'll let you do that, and so on and so forth. And don't get me wrong, there's incredible tools out there that actually allow you to train all of these things. They allow you to train your aim, they allow you to train your utility setups, all of those things. Great tools. Available within the game itself, right? Steam Workshop maps that let you practice utility throws, aiming, you know, headshots only, bot maps, and stuff like that. Great stuff. It's not the most difficult to actually get into the game in that sense, to start learning it, but to actually start playing and being relatively decent is incredibly hard. One of the reasons is the game's been around for so bloody long. Like I said, I know people that have been playing it since 2008 and probably even before that, 2007, 6 ish. That you're going to be playing against some of those people, because let's say you want to start doing competitive matches tomorrow, it'll match you up against people of all sorts of skill levels to determine what your skill level is. Right, that's a slight problem, shall we say, because you're going to be playing against people that have 5, 8, 10,000 hours in the game, if not more. Sometimes you're going to be playing against people like me, who are pretty terrible, and so that won't be as much of a challenge, but still. And it's really punishing on newer players. But at the same time, in sort of that complexity is the reason why we all love this game so much. And I've heard it described particularly well in, I think, one of the esports events that I watched recently, where someone said, you know what? That's the beauty of this game. Sometimes it makes me want to pull all my hair out, but then queue up for another game immediately afterwards. And yeah, that's exactly my sentiment. That's what I think as well, and that's what I've sort of been feeling recently. But so in short, I won't go into details too much here about how you get better at Counter-Strike, how you learn the game or whatever. Not the topic of the video. Kind of, but not the main topic of the video. Mechanically, it's an incredibly complicated game. It's one of the most complicated shooters out there, definitely, and that's just part of the reason. The other part of the reason is that the player base, like I said, generally speaking, is pretty good, at least compared to other games. You can get into a Call of Duty lobby right now and have a decent amount of fun, and maybe you're definitely not going to be the best, but chances are, if you have 2 arms and a pair of eyes, you're not going to be the worst either, at least not every single game. Counter-Strike, oh, no, you're going to be the worst. You start playing the game recently, like, you have less than, 100 hours in it, do not expect to do anything good. Expect if you're in higher elo lobbies and, playing against some better people, do not expect to be able to win duels reliably. Do not expect to be able to do much. It will be painful. You will feel like a burden to your team, and you will be embarrassed. And that's kind of to be expected almost. Sucks, I know, but like I said, it's a punishing game, and then yet in that sort of punishing aspect is a lot of the joy sort of hides in there, because it's kind of a good thing, because it's so satisfying when you get things right. But anywho, same with some other games. Like it's the fact that it's a painful process to learn is what makes the game so entertaining and fun, and why people enjoy it. But more on that in a little bit. The other reason, and sort of another reason why I wanted to make this video, is because this game suffers from cheaters more than any other multiplayer game I have played in my life. Now, you think stuff like Tarkov or, I don't know, whatever the next hot competitive game is, suffers from cheaters and has problems? Oh, no. So here's the thing. I have it on good authority from people that have played the game on a professional or semi-professional level for years and years and years, that currently, as things stand, about bare minimum, literally 50% of the time, you are either playing with a cheater or against one. More often than not, both. If you're playing on Faceit, which is like a third-party matchmaking service with its own servers and stuff, it's not ideal. There's still cheaters, but a lot less. If you're playing on Valve's, the official game servers, it's hell. And let me use one thing I found online. Well, I'm not going to give you the link to the post or whatever, because I don't want to harass anyone and target them, because their username would be visible and everything. But there's a Reddit post someone made about all the different cheats they used in Counter-Strike over the course of 8 years. Now, don't get me wrong, the cheating problem is particularly harsh recently with the release of CS2, and it's a whole topic on probably a video on its own, and you can Google it. But he's been cheating for 8 years in the game, and in that post he reviewed all the cheats he's used and how he liked them, which ones were obvious, which ones weren't as obvious, and how they worked, and the UI and whatnot. Yeah. Vile. Disgusting. I mean, silence. Just I don't know. I don't know what to say. I also looked at that. In fact, there's a whole subreddit dedicated to cheating in Counter-Strike, and yeah, it still exists, and yeah, it's legal for it to exist. And some of the mental gymnastics on that subreddit that you see from people is like, oh well, we're cheating because we want to stick it to the developers because they're greedy and they promote gambling and whatever. And look, I know people relatively close to me, not in my immediate family, but people relatively close to me that have been really hurt by gambling addictions, either from their loved ones or people that are close to them or themselves personally. I know several examples like that. And it's no joke. Gambling addictions are real, and they're a massive problem for some people. And I hate with a passion anyone who promotes gambling. Especially anyone who promotes gambling to underage teenagers or children. I think it's vile and it's unacceptable. And the fact is that a lot of younger, underage people play Counter-Strike. And it's also a fact that the whole gambling, skins, roulettes, whatever system has been set up by the developers, and it is what funds the game, ultimately. But it is also what arguably kept the game alive for so long, or has been killing it for so long. You know, depending on who you ask. But it's still quite a bit of mental gymnastics. That the reason you're cheating is to stick it to the developers, and you're sticking it to them by ruining the experience of the entire player base, hoping that the game dies as a result, right? Wouldn't it be better to just not play it in that case and vote with your wallet? Because instead what you're doing is you're now giving money to the people that make cheats, which funds the whole economy of the game indirectly. You give them more players, the cheaters make money, cheaters spend money on skins, they ban your account, you buy another one, the cheaters, the people that make the hacks get money, they influence the economy as well. It's a lot of mental gymnastics there, at least in my opinion. But, yeah. Anywho, not mine to judge, it's just, seems a bit out there, let's say, in terms of, the whole logic of such thinking, but yeah, you do you. It's just, actually don't, no, in this case, can't even say that, right, because I don't genuinely believe that, but anyways, TLDR is, cheaters are a massive problem, and, yeah, yikes. Right. Back to the sort of original overarching topic at hand, though. It's hell to get into. One of the reasons is that, because more often than not, you're going to be fighting against someone who has aimbot, has wall hacks or whatever, and it's horrible, and it's never fun. And it's especially horrible if you're just getting into the game, because at the start, you're not really going to know whether it's fair or not. You're just going to get dropped from across the map from someone who knows exactly where you are and is like spin botting or whatever, and don't worry what that is, you'll know it when you see it. So it goes just from bad to worse with the stuff that can happen to you with cheaters and how they can ruin your experience, right? And then to sort of make things worse, it's how do I put this? It's all of those things combined, right? Because I've played games that had issues with cheaters, Tarkov being one. It's certainly not great, but it's, you know, you can do things mentally to be like, you know what? I died, to know it's no fault of my own. There's nothing I could have done. Move on. We hopefully / probably won't have the same thing happen again. Here, you will. That's the issue. And so you might be asking the question of, well, Juggernaut, then why the hell would you want to play a game like that where you know that chances are, currently at least, 50% of the time you're going to be playing against cheaters? Well, for one, most of us are hoping that the new anti-cheat system is going to work and not eliminate the problem, because it's never going to eliminate a problem like that. As long as the game has multiplayer, it'll have cheaters. Well, it'll have cheaters in single player, but it's like I don't really think of that as cheating if it's single player. But at least reduce the issue, right? For one, we're hoping for that. Two, the game is so beautifully complex that sometimes it's not going to help them. I've played people who have wall hacks, and I have no doubt in my mind they have wall hacks, because you can tell they're looking through walls directly at your head, and they're trying to shoot you, and they don't realize that bullets go through only some walls and some surfaces in the game, and it's hilarious. But more often than not, the game's so brilliant and so complex and so difficult to learn and has such a high, incredibly high skill ceiling that even wall hacks are not going to be enough. Wall hacks combined with aimbot is basically the game playing itself. At that point, you're not really doing much, you're just holding down two buttons, so then, you know, against that, you don't have much of a chance. But if they're just using wall hacks, if they're trying to be sneaky and don't want to get banned or whatever, and just using one cheat like that, you can beat them. And it just feels like the most rewarding thing ever, because it can happen, and you can also, like, I mean, just really killing anyone in the game, winning a duel one-on-one against anyone in the game, is the most satisfying thing ever. Simply due to its complexity. And again, I don't want to get into too many details, but you want to shoot someone? Okay. You're running forward. Counter strafe, so tap the S key, stop, and then tap the S key to stop. Aim. And then how do you want to shoot? You want to fire just one bullet? Well, pray for a headshot, because if you don't do that quickly enough and hit with the appropriate weapon, like an AK, then no, the chances are you're going to get shot right back and killed immediately by someone. And then if you want to spray him down, you're going to need to learn the spray patterns for each of the guns. And it's all things that you practice. And that sort of complexity is why I love the game, and why I feel like a lot of people will play it. And then it's the cooperation with people, which is, again, one of those good news, bad news kind of situations. If your teammates refuse to cooperate with you, unlike even MOBAs, but unlike like most other games, you're not going to be able to have any amount of fun on your own. You just can't play the game 1v5, right? And you can't even play the game solo. You need to talk to people. You need to know who's guarding what, who's looking at what. It's necessary. It's a tactical shooter, right? And I think that often gets forgotten amidst impressive displays of aiming and movement and individual skill. It's a team game. And one individual can only get you so far. I mean, unless he's using all cheats known to mankind, it doesn't work, right? And I've had games that were incredibly close where the opponents, one of the opponents is using aimbot and wall hacks, and yet they were close. Yes, it's a 5v5, and yeah, sometimes you're just not going to be there in time to help your team. Sometimes your team or your cheater is not going to be there in time to help you. And the beautiful thing about it is that a lot of people that use these cheats don't really know all the mechanics of the game, and it's really hilarious to see someone that has thousands of hours in the game not know how the timing on the defuse bomb, on defusing the bomb works, or how exactly to plant, and where you can plant and where you can't, because he's just used to, you know, killing all 5 enemies at the start of the round or whatever. They haven't really gotten into those tight situations very often, and sometimes you get them in a clutch situation, and you realize that it's you're not really playing against someone that's good at the game, like not really, right? And yeah, it's satisfying. The difficulty of it makes it satisfying, and that's the reason why you might want to get into the game. That and the competitive scene, which is awesome, and you start watching that. Then you think to yourself, well, you know what? I kind of want to try it. And, you know, the crippling gambling addiction that it invokes within people, yeah. Let's not lie to ourselves, but I'd like to think there's also other reasons. But, yeah. Overall, that's what I've been doing. I've been learning the game slowly, and I like to think I'm not that bad. I haven't gotten around to doing my Premier ranking yet, but I will in Season 2, and I'll see where I land and how I do. But overall, I think combined with years of gaming experience in FPS games that I've played when I was younger, combined with some fairly regular practicing that I've been doing of both aiming and some tactics and my willingness to compete against people and take the game seriously and also communicate with my teammates. I think I'm doing relatively all right for someone that started playing recently, or well, not started playing recently, got back into the game recently from 2008. Anywho, though, yeah, that's about it. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Have you played any competitive games like that? Have you played Counter-Strike, maybe? And what is your whole experience with the game? Because I know most of my viewers are from North America, so I'm trying to explain this in sort of North American terms, because in Europe, Counter-Strike is something of a cult game, right? It's the PUBG before PUBG. It's the game that literally everyone has played when they were younger. The Balkans, Scandinavia, Germany, it was hugely influential as well, I think. The UK, not so much, but you know, like continental Europe, it was a cult game. It's like Pac-Man, right? Like everyone knows what Pac-Man is. Everyone's played it at some point, while younger generations now haven't. But like for back in the day, right? Like early 2000s, everyone, man, woman, or child, everyone's heard of Counter-Strike. Everyone's played Counter-Strike. At some point, especially in my country, it has a cult following where we would play it at school, right? Not as a part of curriculum or whatever, but you know, if we had some computer science classes or whatever, we would definitely play some. In fact, that's how I first learned about the game, was actually in school. Yes. And so it has a cult following, and so really explaining anything about the game is completely unnecessary to a lot of the older gamers in Europe. I think everyone knows the basics of it, but yeah, it's one hell of a game, and the sheer complexity of it, once again, I think drives a lot of people to like it even more, and to stick with it, even in the most trying of times, in the most BS of situations, against all manner of cheaters and whatnot. You still want to compete, you still want to get better, and you think to yourself, right, he had a wall hack, but if I was just a little bit faster, yeah? If I was just a little bit faster and I knew my angles a little bit better, I could have killed him there. And God's honest truth is, you could, probably, yeah. And that's what really makes the game so fun. Yeah, that's just the all of it combined, I guess. But it's hell to get into, as I've discovered. Well, I mean, I knew that, but yeah. Some of these things I already talked about, I think, in a previous video I've made a while ago when I was trying to improve my aim. And, well, the TLDR of that video is, I used to have pretty good aim when I played Call of Duty back when I was, like, 12. My aim was pretty gosh darn decent with most weapons, and I could get headshots at reliable distances, and, you know, sorry, at solid distances I can get headshots relatively reliably, and, I was not bad at aiming, and then I stopped playing FPS games, and that kind of went away. I realized I was getting worse and worse at aiming, because I played something like, it was a single player game, I think. I got into Tarkov a little bit, I played some Stalker, and somewhere along the lines I realized I am really not as good as I used to be at this. And so I just thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to try and get better with various tools that are available for improving your aim, such as aim labs and aim training courses and stuff on Counter-Strike and so on and so forth, and that's... I did that for about, I don't know, a couple of months, I think. Pretty much every day. Practiced my aim for just a little bit, like half an hour, 20 minutes, however much time I had, or however much patience I had, because it's not the most fun thing ever to do. And it worked. And I was super surprised, well, very pleasantly surprised, to see that pretty much I improved to a certain extent, let's say, and I'm still at that level, despite the fact that I haven't really been practicing properly in a while. So, what I'm trying to say is, it takes a fair bit of time to lose that skill. You don't really lose your aiming skill once you've acquired it and once you've practiced enough. And so I'm really glad that it's stuck, basically, right? And yeah, that's I guess another one of the reasons why people enjoy playing the game and enjoy practicing. You learn a skill that's transferable to other things. Hand-eye coordination, right? It's kind of like a sport. Same way chess is, and the same way tennis or basketball are. It's, okay, not as physical, but core principles of it are there, and I really like the chess comparison, because neither are physical, but yet both require a certain element of physicality to it. Hand-eye coordination, and for chess, it's endurance, right? You need to sit down and be able to think really, really hard for like 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. That's exhausting. Physically, mentally, in every way. There's that element of physicality to it. In fact, there's some very fascinating statistics about how many calories chess players burn from just sitting and thinking. Yeah, you'd be shocked. You can look it up if you're curious. So yeah. Anyways, that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. It's a fascinating little sport, and I do consider it more so of a sport than anything else. Sure, it's a video game. It's fun. It's a hobby or whatever. You know, but I think it's closer to being a sport than being just a brainless video game that you turn on to have fun with your friends or whatever. Although it definitely can be that as well. But for now, my name is Juggernaut. Thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe down below if you enjoyed the video. Want to stay tuned with the rest of the content and the rest of the, well, the rest of the channel as a whole. Until next time, have fun, take care, and bye-bye.